Noam Chomsky is a big deal. He's a famous thinker and activist. Many people consider him to be the father of modern linguistics. But he's also known for his sharp critiques of power, media, and war. In his book, Radical Priorities, Chomsky brings together a collection of his essays. These essays challenge us to think differently about the world. He wants us to question what we're told and fight for a better future. Chomsky's writing can be complex, but don't worry. We're going to break down the main ideas in simple terms. We'll explore his thoughts on politics, media, education, and freedom. Get ready to dive into the world of radical priorities. Chomsky believes that power often hides behind a mask. He argues that governments and corporations use propaganda to control us. They tell us stories that make us feel afraid or powerless. This way, they can keep doing what they want without any pushback. One of Chomsky's main points is that we should be skeptical of authority. Just because someone is in charge doesn't mean they're always right. We have a responsibility to think for ourselves and challenge the status quo. He encourages us to ask questions and demand evidence. Don't just accept things at face value. Chomsky argues that the media plays a key role in shaping our opinions. He believes that news outlets often present a biased view of the world. They focus on stories that support the interests of the powerful. This can make it difficult for people to get accurate information and form their own opinions. He calls this the propaganda model. He says that the media acts like a filter, selecting and shaping the information we receive. This filter is controlled by corporations and governments who want to influence our thoughts and actions. Chomsky wants us to be aware of this influence and to seek out alternative sources of information. Chomsky is passionate about education. He believes that it should be about more than just memorizing facts. For him, education should empower people to think critically and challenge injustice. He worries that schools are becoming too focused on standardized tests and rote learning. He argues that this kind of education system creates obedient workers instead of free thinkers. Chomsky wants us to rethink the purpose of education. He believes that it should be a tool for social change. He encourages students to question everything, to think for themselves, and to fight for a more just and equitable world. So, freedom is a central theme in Chomsky's work. He believes that everyone deserves basic human rights and liberties. He's pretty critical of governments that try to control their citizens or limit their freedom of speech. Chomsky argues that true democracy, well, it really requires active participation from informed citizens. He warns against the dangers of excessive state power, and he believes that governments should be accountable to the people they serve. Chomsky encourages us to be vigilant in protecting our freedoms and to resist any attempts to erode them. Throughout, Chomsky uses real-world examples to illustrate his points. He talks about things like media coverage of war, the influence of corporations on government policies, and the struggles of social movements. These examples make his arguments more concrete and, honestly, a lot easier to understand. He often refers to historical events, like the Vietnam War or the Civil Rights Movement, to show how power has been used and abused throughout history. By connecting the past to the present, Chomsky helps us see the patterns of injustice that continue to shape our world. Is not an easy read. Chomsky's writing can be, well, pretty dense and academic. He uses a lot of complex sentences and assumes that his readers have some background knowledge on politics and history. This can make the book challenging for people who are new to these topics. However, Chomsky's ideas are important and worth engaging with. Even if you don't agree with everything he says, his work really forces you to think critically about the world. He asks tough questions and challenges us to consider different perspectives. Chomsky's ideas are perhaps even more relevant today than ever before. We live in a world saturated with information and, honestly, a lot of misinformation too. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and powerless. Chomsky reminds us that we have a voice and that we can make a difference. His work encourages us to be active citizens, to question authority, and to fight for social justice. He reminds us that the future is not set in stone. We have the power to create a better world if we're willing to challenge the status quo. Is a call to action. Chomsky wants us to wake up, to pay attention, and to get involved. He believes that change is possible, but only if we're willing to fight for it. If you're looking for a book that will challenge your assumptions and inspire you to action, is worth checking out. But just a heads up, be prepared for a challenging read that will require you to think critically and engage with complex ideas.